Hello, St. William the Abbot family. We are now in the inner sanctum, the back part of our church, really where we prepare and vest. That means we put on the vestments that we would use at the celebration of the Mass. Again, we're in this ordinary time, but we're also trying to unpack some of the whys, right? And so some of the whys here, you can see just some of the simple vestments that the priests and the deacons would use. They're called albs and cassocks and surplices. And you often don't see these because we usually put another vestment on top of that, but this is some of our personal vestments that we wear over our clergy clothes. And then we come to some of these other vestments, which are the chasubles and the stoles that go on. Each of them have a different meaning. We're going to do another video specifically about those, but we have different colors like white, red, gold, green, purple, and rose, and all those are help us into, like, again, being sensual people, those prayers. But usually we try to do back here is we try to have like a little bit, it's like what you would do before, for those of you who are familiar with like sports, like you prepare, there's the last minute conversations with those who are participating in the liturgy. Sometimes our lectors will poke their head in, we'll have Jen or one of our musicians or cantors to say, like, are we singing this song this time? We'll meet with the altar servers and the deacons, and we usually pray a little bit beforehand. So that also happens back here. But then, sometimes you wonder, like, where's that stuff come from? Even some of our basic sacramental needs. So we have some of the oils that we would use at baptism or the anointing of the sick. You'll see we have some holy water bottles up here. Pretty soon we'll be entering into Lent, and up top we have like the stations of the cross that are present there. And then sometimes you look up and say, well, Father Joe, how do you remember that, or how does Deacon John read that? We have some of the liturgical books. So these are the books that we would use for Mass, first and foremost, but also for weddings, for funerals, for baptism. So this is where we would keep some of those things. And then, obviously for Mass, we have the hosts that we would use. So we keep some of the hosts that are present here, the smaller ones, the bigger ones, some of our gluten-free hosts. You might also see up here the hosts for the sick, which are a little bit different because some people from the homebound, they can't consume as easily as other folks, so we have a different type of host for them. And then what we would use for the precious blood or the wine, we have in the back a refrigerator, which is where we keep that. Also, just the vessels that we use. And so inside here, and probably could be another video, is just like which are each of the vessels, but you have the chalices, you have some of the different containers that would hold the Eucharist or the host beforehand. And then lastly, which is also could probably be a whole nother video, is we have these two sinks that are here. One is a regular sink that you would use to wash your hands, and then we have what's called the sacrarium, or the sacred sink. And in here is where we specifically purify the vessels that would hold the precious blood or the Eucharist, because we don't want to just like have those holy and sacred elements just go down the drain. There's a specific pipe or plumbing that goes right out into, believe it or not, into the ground. So it allows itself to, if there's any particles left of the Eucharist or particles left of the precious blood, we don't just kind of dump it down the drain. We dump it down into what's called the sacrarium, that sacred sink. And so, like I said, this is that back area called the sacristy, right? The sacristy, and this is where we gather just before the Mass, where the priest deacons, some of the liturgical ministers, the altar servers, we come and just to make sure everything's ready and squared away, so we can offer up a beautiful Mass and enter into a prayer that leads us all into a connection and intimacy and a deeper relationship with Jesus through the Eucharist. So as we continue with those basics, here's one of those last places, the vesting sacristy.